Hey everyone, today I wanted to talk about a stock that did really well. And what I want to do in these tutorials, I want to go and look at these big time winners, anything over 10%, right? And I want to go look at them and analyze where we could have gotten in, our entry and exit points as the stock played out. Because I think it's very important to see where we could have gotten in the setup and where it would have been the best entry point, right? And sometimes that was the hardest lesson for me because it's like, hey, everyone's talking about this stock, or maybe on the day the momentum is right and there's a lot of energy around this stock, right? So I would kind of go in and I'd be kind of losing on every single trade, even though the momentum was there, right? But it wasn't there for me. So one of the greatest ways that I learned how to do this, pick a better entry and exit points, was through Investors Underground ABCD pattern, right? And another person that helped me kind of focus my entry and exit points was Trade on the Wire on Twitter. So what Trade on the Wire does is he looks at a 5-day time frame. And what Investors Underground teaches, one of the things that they teach is the ABCD pattern, right? Let me show you what that looks like. So this is the ABCD pattern, and you can learn more at tandemtrader.com. So we have the ABCD, the most basic long we can have, right? On the A, the stock breaks out and sets an intraday high. On the B, the stock pulls back and sets an intraday low. On the C, the stock sets a higher low and begins to turn, right? We see this whole little section as a C. At least that's the way I see it, right? I see the beginning of this higher low from this point, from this B level, as the beginning of the C pattern, right? I see that as the beginning of a C, and right here is the completion of the C around this area. And from there on, we have the D, which stock breaks above intraday high, which is this A level, right? So right now, in terms of ATHX, I'm going to break it down so we can analyze what would have been great entry and exit points, right? Because I know that's one of the hard things to really nail down in terms of starting off as a beginning trader. So make sure you keep that pattern in mind. That simple pattern, right, is amazing because you have to understand it, right? Before you start a trade, understand this pattern, because this pattern will be replicated over and over in many different forms, and we're going to go through that right now. Okay, so let me make sure I have my pen right here. Let's set that on green. Okay, so first, this chart, I think it was up 22% today, or 22 or more percent, right? But our focus is, hey, and the thing we want to learn right now is, hey, where could we have gotten in that would have been a great entry point and where we would have been in the green, right? And even if we didn't go in the green on the trade, where could we have minimized our losses, right? So let me just break this down for you guys. So not only is the ABCD pattern a pattern that plays out during the day, which this is the day right here on this one day, right? But it also plays out in different time frames. And that's, once I understood that point, it just opened up trading to a whole nother level for me. So let's look at my specialty is this 10-day time frame, because I see kind of the trend it's been creating for the last 2 weeks, give or take a few days, right? So I see the trend, and let's just analyze this, right? So where can we see this ABCD pattern form, right? We could say in this 6-month chart, okay, this A popped, it came back down, and then it started to base, right? Around this. So right here, we could say, in this chart, we could say, this is the A, and this is the B, right? We have the A as the high, and then it retraces and sets to the low, right? So that's our AB so far. So we got that as our starting point, one of our starting points, right? We just need to determine the pattern in every single time frame, because that's very key to doing this trade, right? So we saw the A, we saw the B, right? We saw the A, we see the B, right? So now, where do we see it on this 3-month chart? And on the 3-month chart, we don't see the whole ABCD pattern. We just see this B formation, right? And this B formation is pretty much this. It is this. So A, then it comes down for the B, right? But within these smaller time frames, there's also ABCD patterns that play out. So we need to pay attention to that, right? So let's see that. And again, not the full pattern doesn't always have to play out. You could just have a top, which is the A, and you could have the bottom, which is the B, right? But it wants to retest those tops. So just say we're coming off the lows, just the start of an A, then we come back, test that, test 110. Then we test 120 again. So we got A, we got B, we got another A at that same level, right? And then we start to downtrend and then come back up and come back up, right? And what we end up forming, I hope you can see what I mean. You don't necessarily have to say, okay, this is a A right here, and then this is a B, and then this is a C. No, you just have a high and a low, right? And what ends up happening is that we're creating a channel between these 2 points, which is 120 and 110. So we have our channel forming right there, right? So within that channel, I really like the 10-day charts. As a general tool, I've used the 10-day chart to my advantage, right? The 10-day chart. And the reason I use the 10-day chart is because I see this channel forming, A, B, and it goes back and forth, right? Let's just make sure we do that. A, B, A, B, and it comes test the A again, right? And you could say, hey, it's been doing this for 2 months. So how do you know it's going to break out the previous day or the following day, right? And the answer is you don't know. What you do know is that this is informing, hey, keep an eye out for it, right? And when we see those cues of, hey, keep an eye out, it's forming and it's playing within this channel. So pay attention to the channel, right? And when just like the ABCD pattern, channels break, right? Like this. Let's see. Let's drag this down. Right here. This is a channel. A, B. It's just bouncing in and out, right? That's what we see right here. A, B. And if it just kept going A, B, okay, that's fine. That's forming the channel where we could see the breakout level and the risk level, right? So, so now why I like the 10-day chart so much is because of these internal cues that I see, right? We see this channel forming, and what I see right here is a top, right? Why do I see the top? Because I see 120, and then it kind of dances between 120 and 110, which was the same channel right here, 120 and 110. So what we see is that same channel playing out, and internally, what's happening here is it's telling us, hey, I'm forming here, and I'm dancing within that channel, right? So we could just say that this is A and this is B, right? And that's all we're really looking at. So let me get another color so you can see that. So we have right here, this is the level we're trying to break, and this is the support level we have, right? Let me just try to make that cleaner. We have that, and we have this, right? And all we know is that if we buy within the top of the channel, what will happen? All right, 120 is the top of the channel, but what's the upside? We see resistance here, and in terms of resistance, I'm talking about that ABCD pattern, right? Where the A is. So we see the kind of resistance right here. So 150 level, right? That's kind of what we're seeing here. 150 level. And guess what? Look at that. We tapped on that 150 level, right? So we see the A and the B, and it's forming within a channel, right? But what the ABCD pattern does is inform us, hey, there's a high, there's a low, and it's tapping on the highs again. So when something taps on the highs, we're paying attention. Okay, when is it time to buy? And it's time to buy, not a recommendation, but you're more ready to act on a trade when it's tapping on those resistance levels. And we see right here, it's tapping on those resistance levels. It's forming higher lows and higher lows, right? And that's what we're doing right here. So as we're forming those higher lows, we'll also see that internally on the 10-day, it's working out, but also on this 5-day right here, it's working out, right? So let's just see this pattern right here. We could say that this A and this B, all right, we're in that channel, right? And this C level, I would call this the C level. We'll name this. I would call this the C level. Why would I call it C level? Because it's the higher lows, right? And that's what we're looking for right here, higher lows. And then from right then, we know that when we tap on that breakout level, what's our upside? Once we break that resistance level that we see here at A, and that we see here at A, and that we also see here on the 6-month chart at A, we have 25 cents, well, really pretty much 120, right? We see that right here, we see that right here. So from 20 to 150, we have 30-cent upside. So in terms of the ABCD pattern playing out, we see that it's dancing within this channel. Okay, we see that. But when would be a great entry point? My key would have been around this 120 area. Why? Because it's tapping on that resistance level. It's been dancing within a channel. So before we get into a trade, we have to think about our risk to reward. And our risk to reward would have been that 10-cent level, right? 110 to 120. It's been dancing in that channel for 2 months. So, okay, it's setting up correctly. But if it doesn't and it ends up to dancing back down to that 110 level, what are we going to lose? 10 cents. Okay, but what's the upside? 30 cents. Okay, so we have a risk to reward of 3 to 1, right? So we have to analyze our risk to reward. We also have to understand what part of the pattern this plays out to be, because we don't have to see the full ABCD pattern, but we do have to see some kind of trend. And when we see clear trends, those are indicators that we should maybe prepare to get in to trade something, right? Okay, now we made the trade. It works out. But if it didn't work out, it'd be going down to this 110 level. Why? Because it's been doing it for 2 months. And it just might not be the time for that trend to break, right? It might still be going in that channel. But okay, we got up, we wake up in the morning, we see it's at 130, it gaps up. So when would be the time to sell, right? The time to sell, I always reiterate the ABCD pattern in every single trade concept that I execute. So I love reading these 10-day charts because it gives me a clear picture of the trend of what's happening. And if you can see, this is kind of forming an A, right? Why is it forming an A? Because it's coming off the lows, creating a new high, and it'll end up creating a B somewhere in here, right? So I see that A, and we also see that same A right here. So say we wake up in the morning, we bought in at 120 before the market closed, and it reaches 150. Okay, 150, 150. But throughout the day, it's going like this, right? And I don't really pay attention to this. I do, but I look more so at the trend that's holding on the 10-day or the 5-day, because that clearly tells me, hey, the beginning of this pattern is setting up to be an A, right? And you don't want to sell at this point because we haven't really established some kind of trend, right? We don't know where in the pattern we are. We have C. Okay. We haven't created a top yet. Okay, now we're at the A. Right? So once we see the beginning of that A, that's when we can say, okay, according to my risk to reward, this is kind of what I wanted out of the trade. And if I wait any longer, you can see retraces for this level to be at the B level, which is again 120. And you see that A forming, right? And that's not something we planned for. We planned for a C into the A, and I can see clearly see the A on the 10-day and the 5-day chart, right? So then I also supplement this one day in order to help me out with, okay, execute smaller incremental ideas, right? So we see that, let me go back. let's see. We see in this 10-day chart that it was playing and dancing right here around the 150 level, right? But what did the intraday chart tell us? And what the intraday chart told us was, let's see, what the intraday chart told us is I'm dancing around this level, and then so we got an A, right? So this is our A. Then this is our B. And again, we have that channel formation, right? We see that this is an A, this is an A. And again, it tests that channel in this region, which is 150. And it's an important level not only here, 150, but also here, 150. And also here, 150. And also here, 150, right? We got this base right here as a resistance. We got this other resistance. And again, we see another channel. Another channel. Another piece of resistance, resistance. And that's, we were playing within this channel. We're waiting for it to dance within a new channel, right? From 125 to 150. And from, if we look into smaller increments, from 120 to 150, right? So we're looking at channels. We're looking at what part of the pattern we are playing within those channels. And so what I would get out of this intraday chart is saying, okay, within this channel, I'm going to see if it cracks this 145, I would get out. So towards the end of the day, I saw it at 145, right? And that wouldn't be my cue to exit the trade. I would look at what is the 10-day telling me, and at 145, what the 10-day chart tells me is this. Hey, pay attention. I formed an A. I formed a top. You see? So when you form the top, you form the A. What's the next part of the pattern? The next part of the pattern is B. And if you wait for the B, you're going to be down here, right? Because that's how the pattern plays out. So I would have gotten out at 145 because I see the pattern on this 10-day chart forming. So when you see the ABCD pattern, again, you're not going to see the full pattern. You might see a piece from A to B or a piece from B to C, but you're trading based on, hey, where in the pattern am I? I bought at this level, which was a C, but now it's the bottom of the A, right? And now I'm selling because it's the top of the A. And we would also use that same ABCD concept right here. We're at the bottom of the A. Now we get the top. Now we start forming this channel, right? All day. That same channel that we saw on this chart right here. The same channel we saw in here, we're going to play out, think of it like that. Saying, okay, if we break 150, where are we going to go? 150, our next level would be 75. Why? Because we see another top here, right? And it would be another channel, right? So what we got to pay attention for is, hey, where in the pattern are we? And we base all of our decisions off of where in the pattern are we. So I hope this video helped you out and gave you different perspective on trading, because one of the biggest mysteries it was for me for the longest time, where am I going to get in? Where am I going to get out? And until I came to the insight of, oh, not only is the 1-day chart telling me something, the 5 days telling me something, the 10 days telling me something, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. They're all telling you something. And when they're reinforcing each other, you're able to kind of make a more informed decision, right? Okay, now I made a great trade. Was it an accident? Was it a fluke? Okay, let me also make a great sell. Not just a great buy. Let me just make a great sell. And how do I know that? Because the 10 days telling me, hey, we're forming the top of the A. The 5 days telling me, hey, we're forming the top of the A. This is telling me, hey, this is a channel, right? This is a channel. And I'm dancing within these levels. If I don't break 150, I might break 145. But this is telling us information that feeds back into this 10-day channel, 10-day chart again. And 145 is not going to work for us. Why? Because we're at the top of the A. We can clearly see it in the pattern that's forming during those 15-minute candles. So that's been a lot for right now, 25 minutes. So I hope I can continue to bring you more videos and they're informative. So if they're helping you out, let me know. Leave a comment, and we'd love to have you subscribe. The more people that are watching these videos, the more we can kind of interact and say, hey, oh, you got some good ideas, and we can collaborate on trade ideas. So again, I hope these videos are helping you out. Don't forget to subscribe and share them with other trading friends if you think this is helpful. And again, I really recommend going and checking out Traders Underground. They're a great resource. You can go to his YouTube videos, and you can go to his website. He has great blogs, and I hope everything's helping you out. And I hope that this whole little technical analysis overview really did something for you. All right. Good night, everybody.